My name is Dr. Ivy Branin. I'm a New York-based naturopathic doctor. And in this series, I'm talking all about sleep. Why I've decided to talk about sleep is because it's actually really important for our immune function. And right now, we want to make sure that our immune system is operating optimally. For some of us, sleep is quite easy. But most likely, if you're tuning in, you probably have some issues around sleep, whether it's not being able to fall asleep, waking up too often, or waking up too early. In this first part of our series, I'm going to focus on the stages of sleep. I think sometimes actually understanding what's actually going on in the body can really alleviate a lot of the stress and tension that we might have around a different function in our body. And sleep is actually a bodily function. It's something that happens to us, though there's a lot of things that, and I'll be talking about this in other parts of the series, that can disrupt our sleep and our ability to sleep. But it is a bodily function that happens to us. And so we're first going to look at the different stages of sleep. And some of these things you might have already heard of, but I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail about the stages. Okay, so here is a little pictorial on my iPad. And so looking at the first stage of sleep, so the first stage of sleep is basically the transition from wakefulness to sleep. In this stage, our body becomes, specifically our muscles, they become relaxed. Our breathing is not as intense, it's not as deep. It's also very easy for us to wake up in this initial stage of sleep. And then after stage 1, we also transition to another stage of sleep, stage 2, where again, it's a little bit deeper, but at the same time, it's still quite easy for us to be woken up. We can kind of almost think of stage 2 as the same sensation we might have if we've ever taken like a power nap or a cat nap. Another thing with stage 2 is at that stage, our body temperature actually decreases. And when I talk about kind of like how we keep our bedroom, I'll talk a little bit about the significance behind having cooler temperatures, and because it actually matches what's going on in our bodies naturally. As we transition from stage 2, then we go down to stage 3. So stage 3 is probably one of the most important stages of sleep. This is our deep sleep. This is where all our bodily processes become restored, muscle repair, and as I mentioned before, sleep is so important for immune function, and this is basically why. Also, this is where our hormones are produced. This is a very important stage of sleep. It's also very difficult to wake somebody up in this deeper stage of sleep. Then once we've reached that stage, then we actually end up going back up. So we go back to stage 2, stage 1, and then we hit REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep. And this is the stage where we dream. Also, something interesting about REM, besides the fact that this is where we actually restore and support our memories, we are actually paralyzed, temporarily paralyzed, which is great because we don't want to be acting out our dreams. I mean, there are certain sleep disorders where one does not get paralyzed, but typically you would be paralyzed. The first REM happens typically about 90 minutes after the onset of sleep. And throughout the night, we might go through 5 to 6 cycles of REM sleep. Other things to note during sleep, basically we only pass through, specifically as adults, pass through deep sleep about 2 to 3 times through the cycles. And so our sleep actually becomes more and more shallow as the night progresses. And REM, on the other hand, actually becomes longer. So we actually have longer sessions of REM sleep throughout the night. Each cycle is typically between 90 minutes to 110 minutes. And some other things. So if we think about, again, like if we wake chronically at night, first of all, it's quite normal. basically when we're in these shallower stages of sleep, it's actually quite easy to wake someone. So it could be there's a noise outside or a temperature change or our partner has moved over. What becomes a little bit more problematic if it takes us longer than 20 minutes to fall back to sleep. Similarly, when we think about sleep onset and falling asleep, generally anything longer than 30 minutes could be problematic. And in other parts of the series, I'm going to talk a little bit more about what to do when you wake up and what to do when you're not falling asleep. So these are the stages of sleep, and hopefully you found that very informative, and stay tuned for the next few episodes of the series, and I'll talk more about strategizing how you can get a better night's sleep. Again, that's Dr. Ivy Branin of Simplicity Health Associates, and wishing you a beautiful, blissful night of restorative sleep.